Welcome to Elder Secrets, where forgotten wisdom meets modern minds. What if the secret to living past 100 isn't found in pills or prescriptions? In today's episode, She Never Took Pills, Lived to 107. We uncover the timeless lifestyle of a woman who defied the norms and outlived generations. Stay with us. Her story might just change yours.
Welcome to a deep dive into, well, just an extraordinary life. Today we're exploring a story that really makes you pause and, question everything you might think about modern health, longevity. Our mission is to unpack the journey of Elena Rossetti. She lived an incredible 107 years, and crucially, she never swallowed a single pharmaceutical pill, not one, her entire life. We've gathered extensive source material detailing her remarkable journey, and we're here today to try and extract the core principles she lived by, see what timeless wisdom maybe we can draw for our own lives.
It's a truly compelling premise, isn't it? And Elena's story, it isn't just about, rejecting medicine outright. It's more a living testament to a holistic approach to wellness. An approach that, while ancient, actually finds profound validation in today's, cutting-edge research. Our goal is to connect her practices to that bigger picture, how our bodies truly thrive, and perhaps how we might integrate some of that wisdom into our modern lives.
Okay, let's begin right at the start then. Elena Rossetti's birth in 1916. Small, traditional Italian village. This was a time, obviously, when medical interventions were vastly different, and her unique path to health began incredibly early, shaped profoundly by her grandmother, Nonna Lucia. Grandma Lucia, basically. She was the village's unofficial healer, the herbalist. What's really striking is that at just 3 years old, Elena gets a severe case of pneumonia. The local doctor, ready with conventional medicine, but Nonna Lucia steps in.
Right. And that early intervention, it really set the foundation for Elena's entire life, didn't it? Nonna Lucia didn't just say no to the doctor, she actively provided an alternative. Instead of pills, she relied on this complex mixture: wild oregano, thyme, eucalyptus.
And honey, I think.
Yes, and honey. She created steam treatments with rosemary and sage, warm compresses of mustard seed and olive oil, and she vigilantly monitored Elena 3 days and nights. And Elena recovered completely, emerged stronger even. So what does this pivotal experience tell us about the belief Elena carried through life?
Well, it seems it solidified her lifelong belief that nature provided everything needed for health, and that her body, if given the right support, had this incredible capacity for self-healing. Nonna Lucia taught her to listen to her body, a concept way ahead of its time, really.
Exactly. The core insight here is that profound trust. Trust in the body's innate ability to heal when given the right conditions. It really makes you wonder. In our fast-paced, symptom-focused world today, are we truly listening to our body's signals, those subtle cues, or are we just, quick to outsource that intrinsic wisdom?
Her childhood was definitely pivotal, but then a truly defining chapter unfolds when she's 24, World War II. Think about the challenges: food scarcity, immense stress, diseases resurfacing. What's truly remarkable, according to the sources, is she didn't just survive this period, she thrived. That's where her approach really seems to prove its mettle. She practiced what she called the wisdom of scarcity, became adept at foraging, wild greens, nuts, berries. She knew which tree barks made nutrient-rich teas, which mushrooms were safe, that kind of thing.
And that knowledge became critical for her community, didn't it? During a severe flu epidemic in 1943, the records say Elena became an unofficial caregiver, preparing these immune-boosting soups. Things like wild garlic, nettle, dandelion. She also created healing salves, pine resin, and chamomile, and even taught breathing and stress reduction techniques to other villagers. What's genuinely astounding is that while she was caring for dozens of sick people all through that winter, Elena never fell ill herself, not once.
Yeah, there's this anecdote. An old villager, Giovanni Martinelli, he's 89 now, he still recalls Elena like an angel, bringing his fever-stricken mother back from the brink. While Elena herself, he says, never even caught so much as a sniffle.
It's incredible, really.
It really drives home that profound connection, doesn't it, between diet, environment, and just robust immunity. Her resilience wasn't accidental, it seems. It was cultivated through lifestyle, through this deep connection to her surroundings. The striking takeaway is that even under extreme duress, her practices built, well, an almost impenetrable immune system. So after the war, Elena marries Antonio Rossetti, a gentleman, the sources say, who completely shared her philosophy on natural living. Their life together became sort of a living embodiment of her grandmother's teachings. They grew their own food, rich soil, natural fertilizers, raised chickens, goats, and they prioritized balance, stress reduction, connection with nature. It was all integrated. Elena's daily routine sounds like the foundation of her longevity. Waking before dawn, spending an hour in what she called quiet time, which was a combination of meditation, deep breathing, gentle stretching. Breakfast was always simple, nutritious. Fresh eggs, garden vegetables, herbal tea.
What's really compelling here is how she integrated wellness into every aspect of daily life. It wasn't seen as a separate chore, right? She saw garden work, animal care, household management not as burdens, but as opportunities for physical activity and mental engagement, even spiritual connection.
Yeah, she famously said, "I never needed to go to a gymnasium. My garden was my gymnasium."
Digging, planting, weeding, harvesting these activities kept my body strong and my mind sharp. And working with the soil, this fed my soul in ways that no pill ever could. You know, as someone who, let's be honest, often struggles to make it to the gym, I can't help but feel a little called out by Elena. But it's also profoundly inspiring. It makes you think, what living movements are we overlooking in our own daily lives?
Absolutely. The insight there is your chores can be your workout, your garden can be your gym, simple as that. It's about shifting perspective, moving from finding time for wellness to making wellness the way you live. It really challenges our modern, often sedentary work models, doesn't it? Okay, let's move on to another core aspect. Elena's relationship with food. It sounds profound. She didn't just eat, she ate with intention, treating every meal as a chance to nourish, to heal. Her kitchen, the sources say, truly was her pharmacy. Pantry stocked with a huge array of herbs, spices, medicinal plants. She understood that many modern pharmaceuticals originated from plants, right? So she preferred the natural sources.
She certainly had a practical approach, very hands-on. For digestive issues, she'd prepare fennel tea or chew fresh ginger root. For inflammation, she relied on turmeric, which she actually grew in pots. Heart health, generous amounts of garlic and olive oil, staples. And for bone strength, she made bone broths, simmered for hours, for the calcium and collagen. But it wasn't just what she ate, was it? The how mattered too.
No, not at all. That's a key point. Elena spent hours preparing food with love. She genuinely believed that energy was transferred through cooking. Meals were never rushed. Always began with gratitude. This strengthened family bonds, their connection to nature. It was all interwoven. Elena put it simply, when you prepare food with love, that love becomes part of the nutrition. When you eat in peace and gratitude, your body can properly digest and absorb all the goodness you're giving it.
That's such a powerful point. And modern science is, increasingly recognizing this, the importance of intention, mindfulness, how it affects digestion and absorption. Beyond just the chemical composition of food, it shows that the simple act of preparing and consuming food with presence, well, it can elevate it to something truly medicinal.
Her approach to physical activity was equally unconventional. No gym memberships, no fancy equipment, no rigid routines, none of that. Yet she remained strong, flexible, energetic, well into her 100s. Her secret seems to be living movement, integrating activity into every single aspect of daily life. She walked everywhere, took stairs without a thought, carried groceries, chopped wood, gardened into her 90s.
And she also understood the importance of flexibility and balance. She incorporated daily stretching and balancing exercises she developed from, get this, simply watching cats. She'd observe them, their fluid movements, and then mimic them, apply them to her own body.
That's fascinating. She apparently would say, I learned these movements from watching cats. Humans used to do this naturally, but we've forgotten.
And even in her 90s, she'd be climbing ladders to prune fruit trees, balancing on stepping stones, engaging in activities that kept her reflexes sharp, her confidence high. This concept of living movement, it's incredibly powerful. It really challenges the modern idea of exercise as this separate, often arduous task we have to schedule in. For Elena, movement was just an inherent, joyful part of being alive. Integrated. It makes you reflect, doesn't it? How can we rediscover this natural inclination for movement in our own lives? Move from obligation back to integration.
Elena also, it seems, intuitively grasped the deep link between mental and physical well-being. Long before it was widely recognized medically, she practiced what we'd probably call mindfulness. Now, she just called it paying attention to her thoughts, emotions, and their physical effects. Deep breathing was her most powerful tool. Learned from her grandmother, Nana Lucia. She used specific breathing patterns, apparently, for energizing, calming, even healing.
And it wasn't just about managing stress, was it? She actively cultivated joy. She sought out and nurtured relationships that brought humor into her life. She maintained this insatiable curiosity, and she consciously found reasons to laugh every day.
She had such a vivid way of describing laughter, too. Elena said, laughter shakes up your insides. It gets your blood moving, it makes your heart beat faster, it fills your lungs with air. It's like taking medicine, but it tastes so much better.
That's a profound statement, and it's actually backed by science now, completely. Elena's practices, mindfulness, cultivating joy, they're extensively supported by research, showing their profound impact on reducing stress hormones, boosting immunity, even influencing gene expression. Epigenetics, really. Her lived experience was decades ahead of the scientific curve. Intuitively understanding connections we're only now quantifying.
Something else Elena deeply understood was human connection, how vital it was for both mental and physical well-being. She wasn't some isolated individual focused only on herself. Not at all. Throughout her life, she maintained strong bonds. Family, friends, neighbors. She was known as someone dependable, someone you could count on in times of need, delivering meals to new mothers, sitting with the sick, helping with harvests, that kind of community involvement. She found that being useful, being part of something larger, it was essential for her own well-being, too.
And this evolved as she aged, right? She became a source of wisdom for younger generations, sharing her knowledge, her experiences. And she felt energized by these interactions. It wasn't just about receiving support, it was a reciprocal flow of energy and connection.
As Elena apparently put it, when you share what you know, it doesn't make you have less knowledge, it makes you have more. And when people come to you for wisdom, it reminds you that your life has value, that your experiences matter.
This aspect is just crucial. Research consistently shows it. Strong social connections correlate with longer, healthier lives. They significantly reduce risks of chronic disease, cognitive decline. Elena's life demonstrates this so intuitively, emphasizing that reciprocity, giving to others, also profoundly nourishes oneself. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? Our social fabric is a cornerstone of health.
Elena's story is also very much about adaptation, though. She lived through massive changes, technological, social, yet she maintained her natural lifestyle while, interestingly, selectively adopting beneficial innovations. She learned to navigate supermarkets wisely, seeking organic local foods when possible. And when her children and grandchildren adopted more modern lifestyles, she didn't judge them. Instead, her home became sort of a retreat for them, a place to reconnect with natural rhythms.
And what's interesting is she wasn't dismissive of science either, was she? She was apparently fascinated by the growing scientific validation of nutrition, herbal medicine, the mind-body connection. She used to joke, according to the sources, scientists are finally catching up to what grandmothers have always known.
That's great.
It just took them a while to figure out how to prove it. It really highlights her open-mindedness. She didn't reject modernity entirely. She filtered it through her established principles, showing that adapting natural wisdom to a changing world is entirely possible, even beneficial. It's about discernment, what truly serves your well-being.
So as Elena surpassed 100 years old, she continued to defy expectations, remained remarkably vital, engaged. She made thoughtful adaptations, of course, adjusted activities to match her changing capabilities, but she never stopped moving. She modified her diet, maybe easier to digest foods, but she never stopped cooking fresh, natural ingredients.
And perhaps most importantly, she never stopped learning, growing, engaging her mind. She learned to use a computer in her 90s, delighting in connecting with family around the world, took up watercolor painting at 95. Her mental acuity remained sharp, recalling childhood details, discussing current events, engaging in complex conversations.
Elena would say, "I never stopped feeding my brain. Just like any muscle, the more you use your brain, the stronger it stays."
That really underscores it, doesn't it? Longevity isn't just about physical health. It's profoundly about mental vitality. It prompts us to consider, how do we consciously nourish our minds throughout our lives, like Elena so clearly did? It's not just about avoiding cognitive decline, but actively pursuing cognitive growth, curiosity.
Naturally, Elena's extraordinary health attracted attention. Researchers, medical professionals, they were curious about her approach. A geriatrician, Dr. Maria Santos, studied Elena in her final years. She found Elena's blood work like that of someone decades younger. That's the direct quote. Blood pressure perfect, cholesterol optimal, inflammatory markers incredibly low, cardiovascular health of a 50-year-old, bone density of a 60-year-old, at over 100.
And it went beyond just the physical metrics, too. Her cognitive function, emotional resilience, overall quality of life, all extraordinary for her age. Dr. Santos was struck by Elena's holistic view. She said she understood that everything was connected: her physical health, her mental state, her relationships, her environment, her spiritual beliefs. Modern medicine, Dr. Santos noted, is just beginning to appreciate this interconnectedness.
It sounds like her entire life was sort of a clinical trial in itself.
Precisely. Elena's empirical lived experience provided real-world data validating the power of her approach. Even before the scientific community fully caught up, really, it's such a compelling case for prevention, for interconnected health, showing what's possible when the body is supported holistically over a lifetime.
So, Elena's story inevitably raises profound questions about our current approach to health. In a world saturated with medications, rising chronic diseases, Elena herself, it's important to note, always emphasized her approach wasn't for everyone. She recognized modern medicine's crucial role in saving lives, alleviating suffering. Her choice was deeply personal, based on her upbringing, her beliefs.
Absolutely. That's a vital distinction to make. Elena's life isn't about rejecting all modern medical progress, not at all. It's more about inviting us to integrate what's truly beneficial from both worlds. Her emphasis on whole, natural foods, regular physical activity, stress management, strong social connections, harmony with natural rhythms, these are all extensively research-backed now for promoting health, promoting longevity.
And perhaps most importantly, she demonstrated the power of taking personal responsibility for health, focusing on prevention, creating the conditions for optimal health, rather than just waiting for disease to strike.
This prompts a critical question for our society, I think. In a culture that often waits for symptoms before seeking treatment, how can we truly shift towards Elena's proactive, preventative mindset?
Yeah.
It requires a fundamental rethinking of how we prioritize health, doesn't it?
It's really incredible how modern research has started to validate so many of Elena's intuitive practices. You mentioned studies on the Mediterranean diet, huge benefits from olive oil, fresh vegetables, herbs, staples for Elena, nature therapy research confirming the healing power of time outdoors. She lived that.
And then there's chronobiology. That's the field studying our internal body clocks. It shows the importance of natural circadian rhythms, which Elena honored instinctively. Rising with the sun, sleeping when dark. Ignoring these rhythms, we now know, can profoundly impact our hormones, our metabolism, creates chronic stress.
We also see validation in studies on the microbiome, our gut bacteria. Elena's diverse, fiber-rich, plant-based diet would have supported beneficial gut bacteria, which we now know are crucial for everything, immune function, mood, you name it.
And the emerging research on epigenetics. Well, that's perhaps the most fascinating connection. This is the cutting-edge science showing how lifestyle choices like Elena's nutrition, her stress management, don't change your fundamental DNA sequence. But they can dramatically turn on or turn off certain genes, influencing everything from disease risk to longevity. It's like your lifestyle acts as a dimmer switch for your genetic blueprint. Elena was essentially practicing epigenetics long before the term even existed.
It really is a beautiful intersection.
Right.
Tradition and modern understanding coming together. And speaking of tradition, Elena maintained this extensive, sophisticated knowledge of medicinal plants and herbs,
Yeah.
based on decades of her own observation,
Yeah.
her own experimentation.
Yes, her herbal arsenal sounds impressive. For digestive health, she relied on a rotating selection. Peppermint, chamomile for upset stomachs, fennel, anise for gas and bloating, ginger for nausea, inflammation, immune support. Remedies included wild-gathered echinacea, elderberry made into syrups and tinctures, wild garlic consumed fresh or preserved in olive oil.
And the sources mention her nuanced understanding, meaning she knew about timing, dosage, preparation methods. Can you give us an example of that?
Certainly. For instance, she might prepare a strong, hot infusion of peppermint for acute indigestion, quickly needed relief. But perhaps a cold maceration, a slow soaking of marshmallow root for a more chronic gut lining issue, knowing different compounds are extracted by varying temperatures and times. She even understood contraindications, knowing certain powerful herbs weren't suitable for everyone or in certain conditions. She truly respected the power of these plants. Elena apparently would say plants are teachers. If you pay attention, they will show you what they can do. But you must be patient, you must observe, and you must respect their power.
That highlights such a deep respect for nature's pharmacy. Not just seeing plants as isolated compounds, but as complex systems to be understood. That does make you wonder, doesn't it? How much plant wisdom have we lost in our modern, maybe decontextualized approach to medicine?
It's a very important question, and tied into that, Elena's life was intimately connected to the natural cycles of the seasons, a connection she believed was absolutely crucial for health.
She really lived by those rhythms, didn't she? In spring, the focus was on cleansing, renewal, more bitter greens like dandelion, nettle, naturally increasing physical activity. Summer was about abundance, energy, preserving the harvest, being more active, more social. Autumn brought a shift, warming, nourishing foods, hearty soups, a slowing pace. And winter, That was for rest, reflection, inner work, more time indoors, quieter activities.
Elena observed, modern people try to live like it's always summer. It's a great quote. They want the same energy, the same activity level, the same foods all year round.
Well,
But we are part of nature, and nature has rhythms. When we ignore these rhythms, we create stress in our bodies and our minds. And that aligns perfectly with modern chronobiology. Ignoring these natural light and food cycles can create a profound chronic stress on the body, disrupting hormones, metabolism.
It's also interesting how she approached aging. In a culture that often views aging as, a battle, Elena seemed to embrace each stage of life with grace and wisdom. It wasn't about denial, trying to appear younger or maintain youthful energy at all costs. It was about adaptation, adapting to each decade, finding new meaning, new joy, appropriate to her changing capabilities.
She had such a beautiful perspective on it. Elena said each stage of life has its own gifts. Youth has energy and possibility. Middle age has strength and achievement. But old age has wisdom and perspective that can only come from having lived through many seasons.
She understood that successful aging wasn't about fighting it. It was about adapting with dignity, maintaining independence, finding purpose, even as physical capabilities might diminish.
And she even had frank conversations with her family about end-of-life wishes, made peace with death as a natural part of life, which is something I think many of us still shy away from. This prompts a fascinating question for us, doesn't it? How much of our cultural struggle with aging stems from resisting its natural phases? Resisting rather than embracing the unique gifts each stage offers. Elena's perspective offers a deeply countercultural yet, profound wisdom on this.
In her vitality, her engagement with life, it continued remarkably right until the very end. She kept cooking simple meals, tended a small herb garden outside her kitchen window, spent increasing amounts of time sharing her knowledge, even created a family cookbook with her great-granddaughter.
And perhaps most remarkably, she kept her sense of humor, her joy. Until the very end, she'd joke about her age, apparently, laugh at people's surprise, marvel at technology, while also gently teasing about how complicated modern life had become.
Elena often said, "People today are so busy trying to add years to their life that they forget to add life to their years." It's a powerful thought. At 107, she passed away peacefully, in her sleep. No prolonged illness, no dramatic intervention. Her body simply rested. Her last journal entry apparently read, "I am grateful for every day, every breath, every moment of this beautiful life."
What really stands out there is the sheer quality of her final years, characterized by continued curiosity, joy, peace. Her death wasn't a defeat. It was a culmination, a testament to a life lived in harmony right up to the very last moment.
And Elena's story didn't end with her passing. Her approach continues to inspire people. Her great-granddaughter, Dr. Isabella Rossetti Martinez, was so influenced by Elena that she now specializes in integrative medicine, blending modern science with traditional healing practices.
That's a powerful legacy, isn't it? Dr. Rossetti Martinez explains it this way. My great-grandmother showed me that there's wisdom in both old ways and new ways. The goal isn't to reject all modern medicine or to ignore scientific advances. Quote, the goal is to create a more complete, more holistic approach to health that honors both the power of natural healing and the benefits of medical intervention when it's truly needed.
Elena's family has also established the Elena Rossetti Foundation. It supports natural healing research, education, advocacy for integrative healthcare. Their mission emphasizes vitality, joy, purpose, honoring traditional wisdom and beneficial innovations. So while we obviously can't live exactly as Elena did, her principles seem highly relevant today.
Absolutely. Focusing on whole, natural foods, maybe through farmers markets, CSAs, trying to get closer to the source. Regular physical activity that's integrated into daily life. Not just isolated workouts, but finding joy in movement. Conscious stress management, whether that's mindfulness, walks in nature, breathing exercises, finding what works for you. These are all practical ways to integrate Elena's wisdom, and ultimately, maybe it comes down to taking greater personal responsibility for our own health, that preventative mindset.
Elena Rossetti's 107 years on this earth really offer us a masterclass in natural living. Her journey reminds us that the human body possesses this incredible capacity for self-healing, provided maybe we create the right conditions and actually listen to its inherent wisdom. Her story isn't about rejecting all medical progress, but rather perhaps about a balanced approach, integrating the best of modern science with time-tested natural wisdom.
Ultimately, Elena's life fundamentally challenges us, I think, to reevaluate our definitions of health and longevity. It prompts us to consider, is true health merely the absence of disease? Or is it something more? Is it the vibrant presence of vitality, joy, purpose? cultivated through a life lived in harmony with natural rhythms and with our own internal wisdom.
And perhaps the most provocative thought Elena leaves us with is the one you mentioned earlier, that quote, "In our quest to add years to our life, are we forgetting to add life to our years?" Her story invites all of us, to explore what that might look like for you.